I received multiple comments on my prediction video saying that the ending I proposed actually felt more plausible than what we ended up getting. So in today's video, I decided to share my own version of how I think Squid Game Season 3 could unfold, along with a few tweaks I would have made to this season to make it more satisfying for all of us. We would see the same Gi-hun tormented by his defeat. He would still blame Gi-hun for all the wrongdoing. Nothing would change here. No L would save player 246 in the same way. One of my subscribers, Fraudakuna, came up with a really interesting idea. During the hide-and-seek game, Gi-hun would still be fueled by revenge and looking to kill Gi-hun for not coming back with the ammo. In episode 2, we saw a moment where Gi-hun is chasing a blue player who looked very similar to Dae-ho, followed by a shot of Dae-ho running away in fear. But when Gi-hun finally caught up, the player turned out to be player 197, not player 388. So Gi-hun didn't kill him and continued his search for Dae-ho. In my version, things would play out a little differently. Gi-hun would chase that player down and, driven by rage, stab him instantly. But when he turns the body over, he realizes it's not Dae-ho, it's player 197, just a random innocent player who always voted X. This moment would shake Gi-hun to his core, waking him from his blind hatred and making him realize he's becoming exactly what he despises. It would be a harsh reminder that maybe the frontman was right all along. I would also change the outcome of the fourth game. I'd have Dae-ho survive while only Hyunju dies, and I'd make Myung-gi the one who kills her. This would be emotionally devastating because Hyunju is the person who protected Junhee and her baby. Myung-gi would be killing the one person who ensured his child's safety, and that would irreparably damage his relationship with Junhee. As for the scene where the mother stabs her own son to protect Junhee's baby, I would keep that, but I wouldn't have her commit suicide afterward. That motif felt too similar to a moment from Season 1. Instead, I'd have Gyumja become the emotional anchor for Junhee and the rest of the group, a quiet but powerful support figure in the aftermath. The final change I'd make is to keep the shaman lady alive, and I'd still have Min-soo kill a blue player, but I'd rework how that scene unfolds. Instead of turning him into this ghoul-like figure stumbling through the maze in a drugged frenzy, I'd take his character in a different direction. Just like Namgyu adopted a Thanos-like persona, I'd have Min-soo subconsciously adopt Namgyu's character. Throughout Season 2, Min-soo was constantly bullied by Namgyu, so in Min-soo's mind, Namgyu represents power, someone who always had the upper hand and seemed destined to survive. Min-soo admires that on some level, even if he doesn't realize it. So after taking the drug, he would become a distorted version of Namgyu, suddenly confident, aggressive, and dangerous. He would kill another player, not out of desperation, but from a newfound overconfidence, and that change in attitude wouldn't go away. Woo-seok would die. He would be the one to discover that the captain was a traitor. He overhears the captain speaking with the frontman, and just as he's about to inform Jun-ho, he gets shot in the back by Captain Park. The sound of the gunshot draws the other members of the crew outside to investigate, only for them to be ambushed and killed by Captain Park as well. In the end, Jun-ho manages to kill the captain. While searching through Park's chambers, he finds the location of the island marked on a map. Gyeong-seok and No-eul's arc would stay the same, up until their patrolling duty outside. Meanwhile, back in the player dorm, we would witness some deeply emotional scenes. All of our main characters are scattered across the room, each in their own space, carrying their emotional weight. Myung-gi approaches Junhee and tries to speak with her. He apologizes, claiming he didn't know she was there, saying he searched for her everywhere. He attempts to justify his actions, how killing blue players was meant to make the competition easier for them. But the way he says it emphasizes how much more money they could earn with each eliminated player. Junhee refuses to forgive him. She tells him that all he ever cared about was money, and nothing has changed. This leads to an emotional dialogue revealing more about their shared past, how Myung-gi always prioritized money, even when they were together. It's the reason she ultimately left him. Despite the failure of his crypto investments, despite everything that's happened, he's still chasing after money with the same blind desperation. After he walks away, Geum-ja comes to check on Jun-hee and the baby. While speaking with her, Geum-ja glances around the dorm and sees Dae-ho and Gi-hun, both sitting alone, one at each end of the room. She decides to approach Gi-hun, and we get another emotional moment, a familiar pep talk, but with a new layer. Geum-ja tells Gi-hun that if it weren't for Dae-ho, Hyunju would have never made it back to the dorm during the rebellion. And if it weren't for Hyunju, she and Jun-hee wouldn't have survived the hide-and-seek game. Jun-hee wouldn't have delivered her baby safely. Hyunju was the one who kept them alive. Now Gi-hun is even more broken, grappling with the weight of what he's done, realizing he killed an innocent person. No longer restrained, he slowly walks over to Dae-ho. When he reaches his bed, Dae-ho panics. He lashes out at Gi-hun, just as he did before the fourth game. But this time, Gi-hun says nothing. Dae-ho spirals through a storm of emotions, rage, despair, and fear. A long, heavy silence falls between them. Then Gi-hun breaks it with just 2 words, "I'm sorry." And that's the moment Dae-ho breaks. He starts crying and opens up about his past. He reveals that he was never in the army. Instead, he served in the social service personnel. He confesses that his father used to beat him constantly, angry that he wasn't man enough, always calling him too girly for playing with his sisters instead of acting like the man of the house. After finishing his social service training and returning home, his father kicked him out. He disowned Dae-ho, saying that anyone who didn't complete military service wasn't a real man. Dae-ho was left homeless, burdened by debt, and eventually joined the games because he had nowhere else to go. Hwang could have used Dae-ho's character to explore deeper and more sensitive topics like parental abuse and the societal pressure placed on men to conform to rigid expectations. The idea that men must never cry, never show emotion, and always act a certain way. After Dae-ho shares his story, Gi-hun would embrace him in a powerful symbolic moment. Both of them carry immense guilt. Dae-ho feels responsible for the deaths caused by his failure to return with the ammunition, even though, deep down, he knew the rebellion was doomed to fail. Gi-hun is tormented not only because it was his plan to start the rebellion, but because he killed an innocent player. And what eats at him even more is the thought that the front man might have been right all along. By hugging, the two of them silently agree to share their burdens. That act of connection makes the weight easier to bear, like soldiers who bond through the trauma of war. They didn't just survive the horror together, they understand it together. That bond gives Dae-ho a sense of redemption, like he finally became the Marine he always wanted to be. This would also bring emotional closure to Geum-ja's arc. She helped Jun-hee deliver her baby, she became the moral anchor for the group, and now she's the reason Dae-ho and Gi-hun were able to make peace with themselves. Elsewhere in the dorms, another unexpected partnership forms. The shaman lady and player 100 decide to join forces. She still has a few loyal followers who mutter about fate and how she was meant to survive. That destiny would guide her through the next game as well. Player 100, along with his own group, uses this influence to sway the vote toward O. By the next morning, Namgyu is suffering from severe withdrawal. Seeing his former tormentor weakened, Minsu takes the last pill and gains a final surge of confidence. He walks up to Namgyu and mockingly asks what's wrong. Namgyu tells him to leave him alone, that he's not in the mood. In response, Minsu dangles the necklace in front of him and says, "Is this why you're not in the mood?" Namgyu lunges for it, but Minsu pulls it away at the last second. Then something shocking happens. Minsu starts beating Namgyu with the necklace, laughing maniacally, mocking him, calling him nothing but a drug addict. He's no longer the timid boy we once knew. He's become cruel, brutal. A guard quickly intervenes, pointing a gun at Minsu and ordering him to stop. On the way to the next game, Minsu walks behind Namgyu and whispers coldly, "I'll come for you in the next game." As I mentioned earlier, This moment would serve as a powerful visual metaphor for how quickly roles can reverse. One moment, you're the predator, mocking and controlling Min-soo, and the next, you're the prey, at his mercy. It reflects how power dynamics can shift instantly, not just in the game, but in the real world too. Before the next game begins, Jun-hee makes the difficult decision not to bring her baby with her. Both Gi-hun and Geum-ja agree. It's far safer to leave the baby behind than to risk their life together in the game. Meanwhile, Jun-ho and Kim finally reach the island. But while they're out scouting the area, a guard unit discovers their boat and destroys it. When they return and see the wrecked boat, a fight breaks out with the guards. After a fierce struggle, Jun-ho and Kim manage to kill them. They strip the guards' uniforms to disguise themselves and sneak into the base. But just as they begin undressing the bodies, they hear a gun being loaded and pointed at them. They freeze. But the armed guard isn't an enemy. It's No-ul, along with player 246. The two reveal themselves as former players who escaped the game and are now desperate to flee the island. But with the boat destroyed, escape seems impossible. That's when No-ul says there are hidden boats somewhere on the island. The four of them decide to team up and infiltrate the base together, dressed as guards, setting the stage for a daring return into enemy territory. I don't really know how to make the fifth game more challenging, because I was pretty disappointed by it. Maybe add a twist where you need to walk backwards on the bridge. During the green light, you can walk normally, but once the red light is on, you need to walk with your back turned. Maybe the two dolls roles would be to scan the player number that is printed on your back. When the green light is on and you can walk normally, Young-hee is activated, scanning your number. Once the light turns red, Chol-soo activates, and you need to turn around so he can scan your player number as well. If you fail to turn around in time, you get shot. In this way, the challenge has multiple layers. First, you have to jump over the deadly rope, and second, you need to constantly pay attention to the light and change direction as fast as possible, all while avoiding the jump rope. In this game, we would see the tragic death of Geum-ja. She had already completed her arc, and due to her bad knee, she couldn't keep jumping over the rope for an extended period. She dies tragically, right in front of Jun-hee, with only a few meters left. This causes Jun-hee to jump back onto the track, trying to catch her, but Myung-gi stops her at the last moment. We then see a shot of Geum-ja falling, while Jun-hee leans over the edge with her hand outstretched. The survivors of the fifth game are Gi-hun, Myung-gi, Jun-hee, Dae-ho, Min-soo, and Seon-yu. The walk back to the dorm is filled with sadness and emotion, but at least now they hold the majority, and they swear to end the game in the next voting round. However, when they arrive at the dorm, a shocking twist awaits. The baby is no longer there. Jun-hee starts crying, devastated. Myung-gi and Gi-hun run to the guards, but the only answer they receive is a gun pointed at their faces. The real answer comes when the guards arrive for the next vote. They explain that the baby cannot be considered a player because she didn't sign a consent form, and for that reason, she has been eliminated from the game. Hearing the word eliminated, Jun-hee's entire world falls apart. She drops to her knees, ready to kill herself. But the guard then explains that although the baby was eliminated from the game, this doesn't mean she was killed. Due to the special conditions of this edition, it wouldn't be fair to eliminate someone who didn't choose to enter the competition. However, since both the mother and the father are in the game, and to keep things fair, the baby has been added as this year's prize. If a player wins, they may choose either the money or the baby. I believe the VIPs would agree with this development, as they would be very curious to see what the players choose. And now, with the revelation that the father is also in the game, the dynamics shift entirely. Jun-hee reveals that Myung-gi is the baby's father. A new voting round begins, and Jun-hee votes O. Myung-gi, Dae-ho, and Gi-hun follow her lead. Interestingly, Min-soo and the shaman lady vote X here, an ironic reversal, considering they voted O the first time. Now they are in the minority. For the first time, the shaman lady finds herself on the other side of the balance. Before the final game, the remaining players come up with a strategy, hoping they can all survive together. But once they arrive at the final game arena and the rules are explained, this is where Gi-hun's morality is truly put to the test. This time, there's no button to press. The timer starts automatically. He could sacrifice Min-soo and the shaman lady. But can he really do that? Has his morality crumbled so far that he would be willing to kill 2 people just to protect those he cares more about? Would In-ho finally be proven right? That people are selfish? Even Gi-hun? I'm sure Jun-hee and Mi-young-gi would not have any problem sacrificing Min-soo or Seon-yo the first time. Dae-ho would just follow Gi-hun's lead. The problem is Gi-hun and his decision. His moral compass is all over the place. He killed an innocent person during the 4th game, but could he do it again? Min-soo is now suffering from severe withdrawal, and seeing him shaking like that would trigger something in Gi-hun. Time is ticking, and no one can make a decision. Gi-hun proposes to draw lots, but Mi-young-gi doesn't accept. Why put himself and Jun-hee at risk when Min-soo is the obvious choice, given the state he's in? The shaman lady chimes in with her usual lines, saying that this is fate, and that God will decide in the end. An argument breaks out among them. Chaos is everywhere. Jun-hee is too broken to keep her composure. She can only think about the baby. In all that chaos, a voice comes through the radio with a short announcement. Player 388 eliminated. Not understanding what's happening, they all stop and look around. Dae-ho is no longer there. He decided to sacrifice himself to atone for his actions. We then see a short flashback. His mother once told him, when he was little, that because he is a man, he should always take care of his sister no matter what. In Dae-ho's mind, that's exactly what Jun-hee is, a sister. Throughout the 2nd season, we saw how he always looked after her, never made her push herself, always told her to rest. By sacrificing himself for Jun-hee, his sister, Dae-ho finally fulfills what he believes it means to be a man. This is why he makes this selfless act. Time runs out, and the remaining players move to the next platform. The next round begins, another 15 minutes of tension. Now Mi-young-gi is more inclined to kill Min-soo this round, and the shaman lady the next, so they can all go home with the money. Hearing Mi-young-gi say that, Jun-hee instantly snaps and starts yelling at him. "What do you mean, with the money?" Her voice is shaking, she's crying, her lower lip trembling. Horror begins to grip her. All the flashbacks of Mi-young-gi mentioning money throughout the game rush back into her mind. Mi-young-gi tries to explain that it's just a figure of speech, that he meant the prize, but of course he would choose the baby. But that one line, "going home with the money," is all it takes for Jun-hee to lose all trust in him. She remembers that he was the reason Hyunju died, the one who protected her during the 4th game. Jun-hee hides behind Gi-hun, and Mi-young-gi, jealous and furious, starts shouting, "I did everything in this game to protect you. I changed my vote. I saved you during the Mingle game. I killed all those blue players in the maze to keep you safe. Do you think that was easy for me? Do you think I'm some psychopath who enjoys killing others? No, Jun-hee, I did it for you. And this is how you thank me?" While all the attention is focused on this powerful scene, Min-soo's cowardly side re-emerges, but he still has some leftover confidence from the drugs. He rushes to push the shaman lady, who had turned her back on him, over the edge. But Seon-yo won't go down that easily. After a struggle, both of them fall off the platform. 2 players are eliminated. The challenge for this round is complete, but there's still time left on the clock. Complete silence falls between the remaining players. Jun-hee stands behind Gi-hun. Mi-young-gi is on the other side, full of rage. They just stare at each other. The time ends, and the 3 of them advance to the final round. This is where Gi-hun's morality comes into play. He wants to sacrifice himself for the baby's parents. Gi-hun tells them that he also has a daughter, and that watching her grow was the happiest part of his life. He's come to understand that he cannot stop the games. Human greed will always be too strong and will always triumph over compassion. He is lost, defeated. He finally realizes that In-ho was right. Despite all his struggles and beliefs, humanity is not worth it. But just as he prepares to kill himself, Jun-hee stops him. She tells him not to do it because she fears that after his death, Myung-gi will come for her too and walk away with the prize money. Hearing this, Gi-hun hesitates. Maybe she's right. Myung-gi, shocked, tells her that he would never do such a thing, that they could leave this place together with their baby. Once again, Gi-hun is at an impasse. What should he do? If they make no decision, all three of them will die. If he sacrifices himself, there's a chance Myung-gi might still kill Jun-hee. He's trapped in an impossible position. Time is ticking, only a few minutes remain. Myung-gi tries to persuade Jun-hee to change her mind, accusing Gi-hun of being a fraud. He was the only player kept alive during the rebellion. He's a previous winner who came back. Doesn't all of that sound suspicious? How could she trust Gi-hun over him? But Jun-hee tells him that she has put her faith in Gi-hun. He promised to help her and the baby with the prize money, and said he'd be there for her if she ever needed anything. She tells Myung-gi that she would rather trust Gi-hun than him, someone who has disappointed her all her life. Hearing this, Myung-gi is heartbroken. He makes an emotional speech, telling her that he truly loved her, and that he only left her because it was too dangerous to stay near her, with all the loan sharks hunting him. To prove that he meant every word, Myung-gi makes the ultimate sacrifice. With only a few seconds on the clock, he throws himself off the platform, placing his trust in Gi-hun to keep his promise. This selfless act reignites Gi-hun's faith in humanity. Despite all the horror he's seen, there are still people worth fighting for. The final round ends, and Gi-hun and Jun-hee are declared the winners. For the first time in Squid Game history, this has happened, and even the VIPs are impressed. Meanwhile, in the other subplot, Jun-ho, No-eul, player 246, and Kim are infiltrating the base. Once inside, their first mission is to reach the frontman's dorm and delete all the files related to player 246. Hearing this, Jun-ho agrees with the plan. But to do that, they first need the black square mask. They head to the black mask's room, capture him, and use his mask to gain access to the frontman's dorm and the archives. After destroying all records of player 246, No-eul says it's time to head to the boats. But Jun-ho says he still has something to take care of, and that he'll meet them at the rendezvous point using the diving equipment located in the cave. Knowing that time is of the essence, No-eul doesn't question his decision. She knows that the death of the black square mask will soon be discovered, so every second matters. That's why she, along with Kim and Gyeong-seok, heads toward the boats, while Jun-ho stays behind to wait for his brother. Once In-ho learns about the death of the black square mask, he immediately connects the dots and realizes his brother has found the island. He returns to his room, and as he pours himself a glass of whiskey, he hears the sound of a gun being loaded behind him. He slowly turns around and sees his brother. The reunion finally takes place. Jun-ho asks him, "Why?" but gets no answer. He asks again, but this time receives only a bitter reply. "You wouldn't understand." In-ho continues drinking his whiskey. Jun-ho sits down, puts his gun aside, and says, "Make me understand." Seeing the gun set down, In-ho picks it up and points it at his brother's head. "I told you not to look into this game, or you'd die," he says. To which Jun-ho replies, "I should have died on that island anyway. Why did you keep me alive?" Jun-ho is still the only one who can reach In-ho's humanity. In-ho slowly lowers the gun, pours his brother a glass of whiskey, and finally opens up about what led him to this path. He tells him how he needed the money for his wife's transplant, and how, despite being a model police officer for years, the system offered him no help. The moment he slipped up, they kicked him out. That was how the system thanked him for years of service. His wife died, along with their unborn child. Hearing this, Jun-ho is shocked. He knew about most of it, but not that his brother was going to become a father. Surprised? In-ho asks bitterly. After that, I was invited to the games, only to find out that the greed and evil of humanity are far worse than you can imagine. The system I tried so hard to protect is the same system that harbors these games. The same system that killed my wife because we didn't have money for the transplant. The same system that threw me out because I took money from a gangster to save the only person I truly loved. This system allows all of this, so why should I defend it? Trash will always exist in this world, and this way I'm making the world better. I'm cleaning it from the trash. After saying all of this, In-ho expected Jun-ho to lash out at him, to call him a monster. Even he didn't know what to expect from his brother, but he definitely didn't expect what came next. Jun-ho wasn't angry, he was just disappointed. In-ho had been his role model, his moral compass. Seeing him decay like this broke him. Jun-ho said, "Why didn't you tell me?" "Why? I would have understood. I would have helped you. We would have found a solution. Together." Hearing this, In-ho is shocked, maybe even enraged. He grabs the gun again and points it at Jun-ho. "You would have understood? How could you possibly understand what I went through? How could you understand if you've never played the games?" But In-ho did this more as a defense mechanism. He expected his brother to condemn him, to hate him. It would have made everything easier. But instead, Jun-ho responded with empathy. That caught In-ho completely off guard. He thought his humanity was long gone. But after seeing Myung-gi's sacrifice, Gi-hun's unshaken resolve, and now his brother choosing compassion over judgment, something inside him begins to change. But he doesn't want to admit it. So he raises the gun, disables the safety, and a gunshot is heard. But that gunshot wasn't In-ho shooting his brother. It was Kim, who had come back after Jun-ho, and seeing the front man pointing a gun at Jun-ho, not knowing he was the brother the detective was looking for, instinctively shot and killed the front man. In-ho died in his brother's arms, asking for forgiveness. After that, the two of them climbed down to the cave and escaped the island using the diving equipment. Meanwhile, No-eul and Gyeong-seok found the boat and took it, but another guard unit began chasing them. After an intense chase and fight between the two and the guards, Gyeong-seok was mortally wounded. With his dying breath, he asked No-eul, who had saved his life, to also save his little daughter, who was terminally ill in the hospital. No-eul accepts Gyeong-seok's dying wish. In a tragic yet poetic twist, she finds the family she lost. She becomes the guardian of the girl who unknowingly gave her hope, and raises her as her own. It's heartbreaking, but it's also beautiful. And in a world as dark as Squid Game, sometimes redemption doesn't come through justice. It comes through love. After all of this, an epilogue concludes the story. Jun-ho goes to the police with evidence and the location of the game, but nothing is resolved. Here's the brutal truth. Even if In-ho died, the games won't stop. The VIP will simply appoint a new frontman. Even if Jun-ho manages to expose parts of the operation, the system is too corrupt. The police, the government, too many people are willing to look away. In the end, nothing changes. An investigation takes place, but it ends without any conclusion. What about our main characters? We see a scene with Jun-hee, her baby, and Gi-hun. Jun-hee asks if he's going to see his daughter, and Gi-hun smiles, saying yes, and shows her a present he brought. Gi-hun leaves part of his money to Jun-hee to make sure she and her baby want for nothing, and he's finally heading to the airport, ready to fly to the US to reunite with his daughter. But on his way there, he sees it. Another recruiter, slapping a desperate man in a subway station, just like what happened to him. Only this time, Gi-hun looks away. He doesn't intervene. He doesn't turn back. He walks on, because he's finally made peace with himself. He knows the truth now. Evil and greed will always exist. No matter how hard he fights, he can't save the whole world, but he can choose to live, to cherish the time he has left, to find joy in the little things, to love his daughter. That's the real victory. That's the real wealth. For a more powerful impact, and to hint at the American spin-off, the final scene could end with multiple recruiters around the world, in the US, in Spain, in England, in Japan, all playing Dodokji. In this way, the message is clear. Evil isn't isolated. It's everywhere. There will always be people willing to exploit others. But just as evil exists everywhere, so does resistance. There will always be people like Gi-hun who stand up and fight back.